Banks don't fear broke people. They fear the ones with $30,000 who are about to stop playing their game. They tell you $30,000 isn't much, not enough to relax, not enough to quit your job, not enough to matter. But that's the lie that keeps people running. Because the moment someone saves $30,000, something changes. Quietly, invisibly, and banks know it. Meet Daniel, 32. Not rich, not flashy, no trust fund, just a regular guy who worked overtime, skipped vacations, said no to impulse buys, and slowly built something most people never do. One paycheck at a time, his savings crossed a number that felt unreal. $30,000. Nothing magical happened that day. No fireworks, no applause, just a number sitting in his account. But behind the scenes, alarms started going off. Daniel didn't realize it yet, but he had entered the 30K trap. See, when you're broke, banks love you. When you're drowning in debt, they love you even more. Fees, interest, late payments, subscriptions you forget to cancel. You're predictable. You're profitable. But when you have $30,000 saved, you're dangerous because you're no longer desperate. For the first time, Daniel could say no. No to toxic bosses, no to bad deals, no to working overtime just to survive. He didn't need credit cards to breathe anymore. He didn't need payday loans to make rent, and banks hate people who don't need them. That's why the pressure starts right here. The offers, the exclusive investments, the emails telling you your money is losing value just sitting there, the advisors who suddenly want to help. They don't want you calm. They don't want you patient. They want your $30,000 back in the system, working for them, not for you. Daniel felt it without understanding it, a strange anxiety, like holding something fragile, like everyone around him wanted a piece of what he built. Friends saying, "You should buy a new car." Family hinting, "You could help a little." Ads whispering, "You deserve more." But the real danger wasn't spending the money. It was what $30,000 could turn into if Daniel stayed quiet, disciplined, and boring. And that's exactly what banks fear most. Daniel started noticing patterns once he stopped panicking about money. He didn't rush decisions anymore. He read contracts slowly. He questioned advice. And that's when the system showed its teeth. His bank reduced his savings interest without warning. A financial advisor called, suggesting he move his money into a complex product filled with fees Daniel barely understood. The message was clear. Don't sit still. Don't think. Don't stay liquid. Because $30,000 in cash is power. It's leverage. It's time. With that cushion, Daniel could survive months without income. That meant he could wait for better opportunities while others rushed into bad ones. Banks don't make money from people who wait. They make money from people who rush. This is the trap. At $30,000, you feel rich enough to take risks, but not rich enough to recover from big mistakes. One bad investment, one overpriced car, one lifestyle upgrade, and suddenly you're back where you started. Banks understand this psychology perfectly. That's why they push hardest at this level. They don't target billionaires with credit card offers. They target people who are almost free. Daniel almost fell for it. Almost financed a luxury car to reward himself. Almost invested in something he didn't fully understand just because everyone said inflation was coming. Almost handed back his freedom piece by piece. But he paused, and that pause changed everything. Instead of spending, Daniel let the money sit. Not forever, just long enough to learn, long enough to see clearly. And the longer it stayed untouched, the more dangerous he became to a system built on urgency.
Daniel realized something most people never do. The real power of $30,000 wasn't in what it could buy, it was in what it could delay. Delay bad decisions, delay fear, delay obedience. While others panicked over bills, Daniel slept better. While others accepted whatever paycheck was offered, Daniel negotiated. That alone made him different. Banks operate on speed, fast loans, instant approvals, one-click debt. The faster you move, the less you think. But Daniel slowed down. He studied how money actually flows. He noticed how banks pay almost nothing on savings while charging massive interest on loans. He noticed how they celebrate when customers upgrade their lifestyle with borrowed money, because borrowed money always comes back with friends, interest, fees, dependence. At $30,000, Daniel didn't need permission anymore. He could walk away from bad work. He could say no to overtime. He could take a month off to learn a new skill. And that scared the system more than someone with $0 or someone with millions. Because people with millions already escaped. People with nothing are trapped. But people with $30,000 are almost free. That's why the pressure never stops. The system whispers, cash is lazy. You're missing out. Smart people invest aggressively. What they don't say is this: aggressive moves at the wrong stage destroy progress. The goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to become unbreakable. Daniel understood that $30,000 was a bridge, not a destination. Lose it and you fall back into the cycle. Protect it and it becomes momentum. Slowly, boringly, predictably, it grows into options. Options scare banks. Options create independence. He didn't rush. He didn't brag. He didn't chase trends. He kept learning, kept working, kept stacking quietly. And while no one noticed, Daniel stepped out of the trap. Because the truth is simple. Banks don't fear rich people. They fear people who don't need them. And $30,000 is often the first time someone realizes they don't.
Once Daniel crossed that mental line, everything looked different. He saw how fear was sold like a product. News headlines screaming recession, ads warning inflation would eat his savings alive, influencers flexing lifestyles funded by debt. All of it designed to make stillness feel like failure, to make patience feel stupid, to make people hand their money back before it could change their lives. Daniel chose silence instead. No announcements, no sudden upgrades, no proof to the world that he was doing better. He understood something dangerous. Visibility attracts pressure. The quieter he stayed, the safer his money became. While others tried to look successful, Daniel focused on becoming secure. Banks rely on cycles: earn, spend, borrow, repeat. Break the cycle and their model weakens. With $30,000 untouched, Daniel wasn't feeding the machine anymore. He wasn't paying interest. He wasn't chasing status. He wasn't desperate. And desperation is the system's favorite customer. He also learned why most people never escape the $30K level. Emergencies hit. Emotions hit harder. Lifestyle inflation creeps in slowly. A better phone, a nicer apartment, a financed car justified as necessary. None of these feel like mistakes in the moment, but together they quietly drain the bridge before it's crossed. Daniel resisted not because he was stronger, but because he was aware. Awareness changes behavior. He treated his savings like a shield, not a toy. A shield against bad bosses, against rushed decisions, against financial humiliation. And with that shield, he started playing a longer game. This is the part no one talks about, the moment when money stops being about survival and starts being about control. Control over time, control over choices, control over who gets access to your energy. That's why $30,000 is dangerous, not because it's a lot, but because it's enough to wake someone up. Daniel didn't become rich overnight. That's the part people expect, the big win, the viral success. But real freedom doesn't announce itself. It settles in quietly. With $30,000 protected, Daniel made fewer mistakes than everyone around him. And over time, avoiding mistakes mattered more than chasing wins. He stopped asking, how can I make more money fast? And started asking, how do I protect my time and options? That shift changed everything. He invested only after understanding. He spent only when it added real value.
He kept cash, not because he was scared, but because he was prepared. Banks never stopped trying. The offers kept coming. The pressure never disappeared. But Daniel no longer reacted. He understood the truth behind the 30K trap. It's not designed to make you rich. It's designed to push you back into dependence right before freedom begins. Most people touch $30,000 once and fall back, not because they're lazy, but because they're rushed, because no one teaches them that this level is fragile, that it must be defended before it's deployed. Daniel defended it, and in doing so, he crossed into a different class of thinking. By the time his money grew beyond that number, banks had already lost. He no longer needed their approval. Their fear tactics didn't work. Their urgency felt laughable. He wasn't special. He was just patient. And that's the real ending. Banks don't fear people with $30,000 because it's a lot of money. They fear it because it's the moment someone realizes they don't need to play the game anymore.